office. Hello, Snehal. Kem cho tame?
કેમ છો વિજયા? તમે કેમ છો? નમસ્તે.
Sadhu chu, namaste. Snehal, a very terrifying question for you, for most people around, is that if they've lost their job on an H-1B visa, what do they do?
Right, absolutely. It would be a very scary time indeed.
Yeah.
So, as we all know, the H-1B visa is an employment visa, which means that in order to maintain your status, you have to be working, right? So once your employment ends, you are not maintaining your status. And also keep in mind that the H-1B employment is employment at will, which means that the employer has the right to end the employment for lawful reasons at any time. And however, the employee has to be treated like any other U.S. citizen employee. So for example, if your employer provides a severance package to their employees, the H-1B employee is also entitled to this benefit. So if you're in the unfortunate situation where you lose your job, maybe due to a layoff, we saw a lot of this happen during COVID, or you're terminated, you may have a few options to remain in the U.S., and I'm just going to briefly go over those.
Okay.
First of all, it's important to know there is a 60-day maximum grace period once the employment ends. Maximum means you have up to 60 days or until your status expires if it's sooner than the 60 days. And during this grace period, you can file an H-1B transfer to another employer, change to another status, or then you have to leave if you're not able to do that. And incidentally, the 60-day maximum grace period also applies if you quit your job, so don't quit your job unless you are aware of all your potential options.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really important that you do everything possible to maintain your lawful status, because if you fall out of status, you're going to start accruing unlawful presence, which of course is going to be problematic down the road. So the first thing to do is find another job in the US quickly. Most people who are terminated, they still want to stay in the country. Obviously, sometimes they can't leave. Maybe they have kids in school, they own property, their spouse is working. So you need to start looking for another job right away. So your new employer can file a transfer, H-1B transfer. You don't have to go back in the lottery. That's the nice thing. Once you have the H-1B visa, the new company is basically doing the transfer. But you need to keep in mind that you have, again, the maximum 60-day grace period of unemployment between the company you're leaving and the new company that you're joining. So the new company has to file this change of employer petition. And as soon as the case is filed, you have a receipt, you can actually start working for the new company. Mm-hmm. So you just have to prove that you've maintained your status when you're filing the transfer, meaning proof that you are actively working, you have payroll. So because they're going to look at that grace period, right? Another way to remain in status in the U.S. is to apply for a change of status in a different visa category. So if you have a H-1B spouse, then you can file a change of status to H-4 dependent status. As long as your spouse is maintaining lawful H-1B status, then you can do a change of status to H-4, which would allow you to stay. But again, this has to be filed during that grace period. You also, again, depending on your situation, may be able to apply to a college to do a change of status to F1, going back to a student visa, maybe to pursue another type of degree. And a lot of times clients ask us, what if I go to a B2, change my status to B2? This is really not a good option, and it should really be a last resort, because many times USCIS, the Immigration Service, will not process an H-1B transfer unless if the B2 application is pending. Mm-hmm. So again, don't do that. It's only applicable in limited circumstances. Also keep in mind your employer, if you get terminated, they have to pay your return transportation back home. Okay, so they have to pay for your flight to go back home to your home country. They don't have to pay for your dependents, but they are obligated to pay for the H-1B employee. Mm-hmm. So if you get the pink slip, give us a call. We will help you sort out your options. Again, just don't fall out of status.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for that, that you made it so clear, crystal clear for our listeners. So if you've lost your job on H-1B visa, you know where to go. NPZ Law Group is at hand to help. And also if you're wanting to secure a green card, citizenship, Canadian immigration, adjustment of status, marriage cases, whatever it be, NPZ Law Group is the way to go. Visaserve.com is where you find them. Call them at 201-670-00.